Hey guys, happy Candle Day. So yes, Candle Day is finally upon us. I do have to say, if I'm being completely honest, this was probably the least exciting candle day I've ever encountered. But it's to be expected when you've been collecting candles for over 10 years and you kind of have everything under the sun, and BBW kind of just like repackages the same stuff over and over and over again. Like, it is what it is. It was also the very first year I didn't actually wake up super early and do the store opening thing at 5 a.m. I was just thinking about it and I was just like, there's really nothing in that store that is worth like getting up that early for this year round. Like, if anything sells out, I'd be totally fine if I didn't have it. Like, I wouldn't be like sad about it at all. So I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna have to do the early wake up thing. I smelled all the mashup candles the day or two before Candle Day started, and they were all right, but nothing I really had to like absolutely like must get from the store. I was like, maybe a Paris Cafe would be all right, but even that I've had that in the many years past. So I was like, there's really nothing in the store worth getting up for. So I didn't even do that. So I just went about my day, just doing my regular stuff. I was about an hour away from where I live, doing non-candle related activities and just on like a regular time schedule. And then in that area, there happened to be one of those like rundown indoor malls, like the old school ones where like most of the stores are all shut down, but you go to like the center area of the mall and there's the lone BBW that's still hopping. I went to that store because I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna find any like juicy gems that I might want, it's probably gonna be that store. And it was. So I was super excited. I was like, there must be a reason that like, you know, I like went to this store. And the way it was set up versus doing my usual 5 a.m. opening, because I found the like one candle that I really wanted. So without further ado, let me get right into it. Yeah, so I have only 3 candles for me. It was probably the least. I like, this is the least amount of candles I've ever bought during Candle Day. There's just simply nothing to be had out there. And then 2 candles for my parents. But I guess before hauling, my store experience. Let's see. So it was a rundown mall. So it's very like low traffic, and I went into the mall. It's like completely dead. There's like nobody in the corridors. You walk into BBW and it's just like a regular old day. It picks up a little bit where it was kind of steady, but you could totally move around. Absolutely no line to get into the store. The register checkout line was very short as well. Like, I was in and out. There was really like not busy at all. And the store was just absolutely just chock full of holiday candles. I mean, just a ton. You would think that maybe they just like did their floor set the night before. Like, they haven't sold through any of their holiday candles. They still had an abundance of fall candles as well. So I was like, oh my gosh, they're never gonna sell down enough to get to the later priority candles. And so, I mean, they still had like crates and like stacks and stacks and crates of candles just everywhere, ready to replenish the stuff that was like still full on the actual shelves in the setups. So I was like, wow, it's gonna take a while. So that store just had a ton of stuff, and that was like at 11 a.m. So yeah, I don't think that store is going to probably ever get to later priorities because they have all the like existing holiday and fall stuff to still get through. So that was kind of shocking. So it just wasn't like the big event, at least at that store that I was used to. I asked the person who I assume was the store manager because she seemed like she knew what she was doing, and I was like, oh, do you happen to have the fresh coconut and cotton 3-wick candle in? And she's like, oh no, we don't have a fragrance like that. She's like, we had that once before in a single wick, but I really don't think we're gonna get a fragrance like that right now. I was like, oh really? I was like, it's actually coming out in a 3-wick you know, right now in a later priority for Candle Day. And then she's like, oh yeah, we don't have anything like that. And then so I'm like minding my business, and then she finally comes back and she's all like, oh yeah, you're right. She's like, there's a 3-wick coming out, and it is indeed a later priority. It's in my warehouse and we do have it, but we can't actually get to it until we sell down all the holiday stuff, so I just simply can't set it out. I was like, okay, I completely understand, like that's totally fine. But I was just like hoping from off chance like maybe it was in the back room to be able to get it versus being an offsite. And I understand that they're not supposed to like sell through the newer stuff until they sell down the old stuff, but you know, it doesn't hurt to ask. But it was just funny because like she completely acted like it didn't exist and she had no idea what I was talking about until I like whipped out it's a later priority candle coming out in a 3-wick, and then she's like, oh shoot, he probably knows what he's talking about. So that was funny. But yeah, they were not at all like entertaining the idea of selling the later priority candles, which is what they're instructed to do, so it is what it is. So I just went about my way and got the candles that I came for. So the one candle, if you watched my previous video, what did I say? I was like, I wouldn't mind finding a salted caramel pretzel, and if it maybe was in the store, I would totally entertain it. And even when I woke up this morning, I was like, if there was one like old school candle that I wanted, like obviously I wanted the newer priority candles, like the later priority new candles. That's not gonna happen. Besides that, I wanted salted caramel pretzel, and bam, they had a single one just like lone on the shelf, just like amongst none of the other candle drop ones. I mean, it was like gunked up with a ton of fingerprints and like fingerprints all over here, but I was like, you know, I'll just lice all that crap off and be done with it. And so I found the one candle that I really wanted, so I was super excited about that. So I did get my salted caramel pretzel. This was soft pretzel, brown butter caramel, and sea salt. Of course, from the weekly candle drop. I think when I initially reviewed it, I said it was like super buttery, that I was just kind of like icky about it. But ooh, after that review finished, I kept burning it, and it was just so strong and awesome. And the butteriness just combined with a little bit of caramel and the super realistic like salt crystals on the pretzel. It just smells like truly a like a hot, soft pretzel you would get from like, you know, the pretzel vendor at the mall or whatever. And it was just very realistic to that I really enjoyed it. And it was like realistic and unique and authentic enough that I really, really enjoyed it. And it was super strong and great down to the bottom. A lone one there, I snagged it. So I was like, I'll at least get this. So then that happened. Then my parents wanted 2 candles. So then I was like, okay, well, we're up to 3 candles now. And those 2 candles were the cinnamon stick and Waikiki Beach coconut right here. And that's what that looks like. And that's what the top looks like. This is vanilla, fresh coconut cream, dash of nutmeg, and cinnamon stick. And I was going to get my tropical spice in my collection, but I couldn't find it to compare to, so we'll just swing it. This is immensely similar to tropical spice, but I want to say there's a hint more of a fruity sweetness coming from the Waikiki Beach coconut in the background, but like at least 90 to 95% the same as tropical spice. I would have to burn this, but it's my parents, so I'm never going to actually get around to burning it, that I'm not going to be able to report back on it. But very similar to tropical spice, if you remember that one. Like a red hot cinnamon mixed with like a creamy coconut colada type fragrance is what you get from it. But I feel like you get a little bit of that sort of like fruitier coconut blend from Waikiki Beach coconut than you did from tropical spice. But I don't know. This is very, very similar when actually now that I smell it. I don't know. If you like tropical spice, it's the next best thing if it's not the same thing. So cinnamon stick and Waikiki Beach coconut are right there. And then my mom wanted either a Merry Cookie or Twas the Night Before Christmas, and so I got her this one because it wasn't the fun giftable packaging. That's what that looks like. She's been really into the cookie fragrances lately. This one is Santa's Fresh Baked Cookies, a warm mug of milk with a dash of cinnamon and nutmeg. And that's what that looks like. I think this is just Hometown Sugar Cookies. Was that what it was called from the fall time? It's that like warm milkiness mixed with indeed a little bit of cinnamon and quite a bit of nutmeg. And then a little bit of like a buttery baking cookie undertone to it. Very similar to Hometown Sugar Cookies. But not quite cookies with Santa. It's not as sweet as like Sugar Snickerdoodle on the cinnamon spice front. And it's not as buttery as Merry Cookie. It's a little bit more like savory. And then quite a bit of that like sort of warm spicy milk component is in there. It's nothing I would personally gravitate towards, but I think she just really enjoyed the packaging and wanted a cookie fragrance. So Merry Christmas to her. So that's what that was right there. So that was a 2 for my parents. Moving on, let's see. Out of the blends, originally I thought I was going to get all of them. I was like, I can't even force myself to buy these blends. So there was the Ocean Driftwood and White Gardenia, which is very, very, very strong on the gardenia front, and just very little traces of the mahogany teakwood / ocean driftwood blend or the component. That I was like, I really don't need this. I still have Rainforest Gardenia from years past, so I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy that. Cinnamon Spice Vanilla and a Hot Cocoa Cream was like pleasant and delicious enough, but I'm just not the hugest fan of hot cocoa and cream, and I'm kind of exhausted on cinnamon spice vanilla that I was just like, I don't think I foresee myself burning that one either. Aloha Kiwi Passion Fruit and Tiki Beach wasn't terrible because Tiki Beach was actually strong enough to offset the usual nastiness that is Aloha Kiwi Passion Fruit, that the blend was actually nice, tropical, and fruity, that the Tiki Beach kind of like saved the nastiness that is Aloha Kiwi Passion Fruit. But once again, the tropical fruit fragrances are my very least favorite category from BBW, that I just didn't ever see myself burning that one. And then the Waikiki Beach Coconut and Cinnamon Stick I did not care for either. So that left Sugar Lemonade and Blueberry Sugar right here, which I honestly could have done without this, but I had a 10 off 40 coupon that I had to get to with my parents' 2 candles and then the 1 salted caramel pretzel. I was like, I have no idea what to get. Let me just shove this in there because it's new. So this is sweet blueberries, fresh lemon juice, and sugar crystals. The thing that's a little bit disappointing about this is that the sugar lemonade component of this is so immensely strong that it kind of like washes out the blueberry sugar component. Blueberry sugar is light to begin with, but there's like almost like a yogurty, creamy blueberry to it that I really enjoy. But the sugar lemonade just really like completely like mows over the blueberry sugar part of it. But yeah, and it's just like the usual like sweetsy cutesy like champagne toast and bright Christmas morning type of just regular fruity fragrance. I really could have done without this, but I'm kind of hoping, like optimistic in the sense that maybe blueberry sugar will come out a little bit more when you go to burn it. And I guess it's a nice spring fragrance, so it exists. So yeah, I was most excited for this one, and I was kind of disappointed because the blueberry sugar wasn't as strong, but it was still the one that I wanted the most despite all of that in comparison to all the other blends. And that store had so many mashups, and I went to other stores later in the day and mashups were just in abundance, like nobody was touching any of that. And the Instavault collection, just massive abundance, like well into like 3 p.m. So if you can't get to the store that quickly, it seems like they have an abundance of inventory this year. That yeah, there was just candles everywhere. So yeah, sugar lemonade and blueberry sugar right there. So we'll see how that does. And then that store was a rundown mall that usually has the treasure trove of fun rare gems that I was like, let me see if they have their fall selection. And sure enough, all the way at the back of the store on like the opposite side of the table facing the front of the store had quite a bit of a selection of fall candles. So I was happy about that. So they still had like sweet cinnamon pumpkin, fall festival, pumpkin apple, vanilla pumpkin marshmallow was still there, leaves, harvest gathering. I mean, quite a bit of even like Halloween candles were still there. So I was like, okay, let me see what's going on here. And of those, I was like, if I see like a banana walnut muffin, or if I see a pumpkin peanut brittle, although they are online exclusives, but maybe if it was a return, I would entertain that, or a pumpkin cinnamon bun, I would entertain that as well. And wham, there was a pumpkin cinnamon bun in the alternate packaging from this version that I had not picked up, and I was like, I blew through those two so quickly, and I really enjoyed it. Let me just shove it in because I have to get to 5 candles to use my 10 off 40, and that completed my transaction. So this is warm cinnamon roll, pumpkin spice, and vanilla frosting. We already know what this smells like. It's like a revised version of last year's pumpkin cinnamon bun with much heavier emphasis on the frosting, icing, glazing note on top with a little bit of bakery undertone as well. Scrumptious, delicious, and awesome. If you just want like this vanilla frosting fragrance that's like delicious and authentic, then this was excellent. I can't vouch for this packaging in this setup because I had it in the other graphical label. So I don't know, but for Candle Day prices, why not? So pumpkin cinnamon bun right there. So that was my whopping haul of 3 candles for myself and 2 for my parents. They came out to be $7.95 after a 10 off 40 coupon. Honestly, like salted caramel pretzel was the only thing I really wanted. If my parents didn't even need those other 2, like I would have just bought that single candle and walked out. A little bit of a bummer, to be honest, because Candle Day used to be such a fun, like big juicy event, and now it's just like nothing but repackages. But once again, like this is coming from a 10-year plus perspective, so I've come to terms with it. And then on the 10 off 40 coupon, there was an attached one for the free body care item, and I was like, there's not even any body care I want in here either. So I was like, let me just get this. I've never used this before in body care, so it was men's black tie right here. I was like, I don't own this. It's like different, I guess, so let me use it. There are no notes on this, so I don't know what the notes are, but it smells like the candle. It's like kind of like in your more like, it's like a slightly heavier clean slate from the men's collection from BBW. It's a similar like clean, almost like cucumbery vibe to it, which I always got in the candle as well. It smells like black tie. It's another men's, body wash fragrance. I guess I'll use it. It's free. So that's that right there. And that is that. So I went to 2 more stores afterwards just to like see what's going on and see where they were selling down in terms of their priorities. And I went to another store around, was it 11 to 11:30? It was right before like lunchtime was hitting, and that store was a much larger store in a very populated area that's usually really high traffic, and that I only had to wait in a line of like maybe 5 people. I like didn't even wait for like 10 minutes and got right in afterwards, and the store inside was pretty steady, but you could still move around, so it wasn't crazy. So yeah, like the lines didn't seem to be such an issue this time around. So there was that. and that store was definitely more wiped than the desolate mall store, but they still had abundance of candles. They actually had like a whole summer SAS table of like, they still had pink petal tea cake, hot fudge drizzle, the marshmallow pineapple thing. They still had like the majority of that Rainbow Waves collection as well. They were like fully stocked of that summer SAS stuff, but I was like, I don't even need any of that. And they weren't even close to selling down to the later priority, so I walked in and walked right out, and that was the end of that one. I then stopped by another store on my way home around, I want to say 3 p.m.-ish, just to see where their sell down status was, and no line for that store. It was steady in the store, but no line to get in, so that was cool. They were still chock full of holiday candles just everywhere. I mean, just like so many holiday candles, just an absolute abundance. Like hardly selling down of any of the mashups. Instavault was fully stocked. Christmas wrapping was fully stocked. All the other previous holiday stuff was fully stocked, but they did at least put out the bought for sale island repackages. Priority was starting to trickle out at that store and actually selling down quite a bit of that one. So I would think maybe that store would start selling down enough to get to the later priorities, maybe later tonight and into tomorrow. So I might visit that store because I just really want fresh coconut and cotton and the pink rose and leather, and the toasted pistachio vanilla, but I just have to time it in terms of the priority waves. So kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I feel like some stores might not even get down to those priorities, so you might have a very good chance of seeing them like next week if there's a sale again, or online as well. So I wouldn't fret if you couldn't find those in your store. So yeah, one store said like they were on strict instruction not to even like entertain putting out some of those later priority candles until they sold through all of holiday, but there's just so much holiday out there that I'm just like, that's never gonna happen. So yeah, but there's my exhaustive storytelling plus candle haul for Candle Day 2022 day 1. Let me know if you found any interesting gems. I'm happy to find salted caramel pretzel. That was like my number one of the fragrances that I wanted, and it's nice to have some of the like the pumpkin cinnamon bun fall stuff as well. And my parents got the Candles Day one, so we're good to go there, and we'll see what day 2 brings us, but I'm not holding my breath. So let me know what your experience was down below. Happy Candle Day, and I'll potentially see you guys tomorrow. Bye.